I request all parents and guests to please settle down. We'll be closing the doors in 5 minutes. We'll be closing the doors for the parents in 2 minutes. I request everyone to please settle in. We will be starting today's event with the procession for the convocation. Good afternoon. I extend a very warm welcome to everyone gathered here today to celebrate our graduating students at the Convocation 2018. To begin the convocation ceremony, I would like to invite our Chancellor, Professor Rudrangshu Mukherjee, and our chief guest for today, Srimati Nirupama Rao, to please come forward to light the lamp. Thank you, ma'am and sir. Last year, at the first undergraduate convocation, students of the founding batch, Oritra Sutradhar, Shreya Muthukumar, Pratosh Baranidharan, Surbhi Katyal, and Abhinav Shrikant wrote, composed, and performed the song Memories as the convocation song. Continuing this tradition, I would like to welcome on stage Vaishnavi Srinivas, Yashi Jain, Aditi Dash, and Vitika Agarwal, students from the undergraduate batch of 2015 and 18 to perform the song.
Hello. Check.
Thank you for this beautiful rendition. I will now like to request our
the Vice-chancellor, Professor Sheldon Pollock, Mrs. Nirupama Rao, founders, colleagues, parents, and last but not the least, my students. A decade or so ago, a group of leaders in India decided to make a tryst with higher education. Ashoka University, as all of you know, is the fulfillment of that tryst. One important aspect of that tryst was to build a university that would be different. Ashoka University takes pride in the fact that it is different and perhaps that it is even unique. At this moment, standing before you, I'm faced with one facet of its difference and uniqueness. In most, if not all, universities, a chancellor is a distant figure, an outsider who visits the university on special and ceremonial occasions. I cannot be such a distant figure. And the last thing I can be at Ashoka is an outsider. It was my privilege to be an integral part of the process of the establishment and the initial growth of this university. It is thus impossible for me to maintain any kind of detachment and distance from an institution that has become embedded in my existence and in my consciousness. So this is by no means going to be a typical chancellor address delivered from a lofty perch. In its short life, Ashoka has crossed many significant tests and hurdles. But I think today we are poised to face a very severe test. From tomorrow, a large group of students will be leaving Ashoka, some after 4 years and some after 3, to go out into the wider world, some to work, some to study, and some perhaps to take a deep breath before they decide on the next step. It is a huge leap from an oasis in Haryana to wherever you are going. We are certain that the intellectual training and the values that you have imbibed in Ashoka will stand you in good stead throughout your lives. You will be the best ambassadors Ashoka can ever hope to have. I have no manner in my doubt that all of you, individually and collectively, will not only make yourselves proud, your parents proud, but also Ashoka proud. As you leave Ashoka, remember, you cannot actually ever leave Ashoka, nor can Ashoka ever leave you. The gates of this university are open to all of you to come back, not just to relive the past in a bout of nostalgia, but also for you to help this university to grow and evolve. The last 3 or 4 years have not only been the most formative period of your lives, but also a time when through a strange and sublime osmosis, you became a part of a growing family. Saying goodbye to Ashoka is another way of saying welcome to Ashoka. There is another thing about which I have no doubt. On the strength of the education you have received here, your future will be anything you command. But herein lies a profound responsibility. What is that responsibility? In response to that question, I can do no better than to quote a portion from the convocation address of the greatest Vice-chancellor that the University of Calcutta has ever had. Speaking to the students of the University of Mysore at its first convocation, Ashutosh Mukherjee said, and I can only echo him, quote, "It lies in you to illuminate the perfection of an unselfish culture with the light of devotion to humanity. It is for you to prove that you are able to use all that you have learned for the end for which it was intended, to enable you to lead the life of active benefactors of your community." With those words, Vice-Chancellor, I declare this convocation to be open. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mukherjee. It is my pleasure to invite our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Pratap Bhanu Mehta, to address the gathering.
Chancellor Professor Rudrangshu Mukherjee, Chief Guest Nirupama Rao, our distinguished convocation speaker Professor Sheldon Pollack, parents, students, founders, and larger members of the Ashoka community, I extend my warmest welcome to you. I have the challenging task of presenting to you our annual report. But this is a significant challenge for me, because I know our annual report is not just what I will say here, the facts about the university, the achievements we celebrate, the challenges we enumerate. Our annual report is embodied in the extraordinary students whom we graduate today, the undergraduate class and the ASPs. They are the best and the only annual report Ashoka can and needs to give. As we look at them, as I'm sure the parents look at you, any residual doubts about Ashoka, about the future of its students, will instantly disappear. The combination of intellectual prowess, moral awareness, and social responsibility these students carry will be an enormous force of change. I can say this as a fact, not just as an aspiration. Their impact will not be measured year to year, but over the course of long and productive and thoughtful lives. In graduating, these students have passed the requirements of Ashoka, but they know they now face a more stringent test. Not the one Ashoka sets, not even the one society sets, but the one they have set for themselves as Ashokans. We graduate them in the knowledge that they will hold themselves to even higher standards than any of us can imagine or exemplify. They will be Ashoka's annual reports, year after year, written across the sky and stars, and for generations to come. We applaud these students. It is said that faith can move mountains, and Ashoka is sustained by two profound acts of faith. The first is the faith I've already spoken of, the faith of the students and their parents who have reposed their trust in us. As a young institution, we have much to learn, but we hope we have lived up to that faith. To steal Jawaharlal Nehru's phrase, not wholly or in full measure, but very substantially. The second act of faith is the faith of our founders. They had the faith that it was possible to build a different kind of institution in India. This is an institution founded on collective philanthropy. And I'm pleased to be able to report that this year, Ashoka crossed the milestone of reaching 1,000 crore in philanthropic commitments. This is the largest exercise in collective philanthropy ever undertaken in India. Apart from the funding, this commitment represents a vote of trust in Ashoka, and the extraordinary generosity and institutional imagination of the founders have helped create models that others are now seeking to emulate. May I just take a moment to request the founders to stand up and allow us to acknowledge their selfless audacity that makes all of this possible. An annual report always compels us to perhaps unwittingly violate the first principle of being a good Ashokan, which is never be a judge in your own cause. But even at the risk of violating this tenet, our annual report can confidently claim that Ashoka is making progress on all aspects of its mission. The university is growing in size as planned. We have 1350 students, plus 1350 plus students on campus, and will reach the milestone of 2,000 students by 2019-2020. The Young India Fellowship, that innovative program with which Ashoka began, is going from strength to strength with an annual intake of 300 fellows and an extraordinary group of 800 alumni. The number of applications across all our programs is increasing, and there is considerable evidence that Ashoka is becoming the institution of first choice for students wanting a serious undergraduate education. We have partnerships with 16 top universities in the world, from Stanford to Sciences Po, from Princeton to Penn. The current campus will be built out to its full capacity to house about 2,400 students by 2019. We are absolutely delighted to be able to report that Ashoka has acquired another 25 acres or so of land for the second phase of the campus. There are plans to acquire even more. There will therefore literally be more ground under our feet for our ambitions to soar. We promise you an unrivaled campus experience when you visit us in a few years. Ashoka's distinctiveness and the core of its mission lies in its pedagogy. We have 11 majors and several minors across the sciences, social sciences, and humanities. Thanks to an enormously dedicated and talented faculty, Ashoka has created an innovative curriculum that allows students to discover their intellectual identities and become thinkers in their own right. It combines breadth and depth, critical thinking, and disciplinary responsibility. Ashoka is constantly reviewing its curriculum. As we scale up, we have to be constantly mindful of the fact that we have to deliver in our pedagogical practice all the principles we promise our students, and we learn from each passing batch. To this end, this year, we initiated a series of university-wide conversation on all aspects of our curriculum, from foundation courses to capstone experiences. Even the Young India Fellowship was subject to a thorough review. These discussions have resulted in decisions we hope will improve already exciting programs, and more decisions will follow in the early year next year. Ashoka remains truly committed to being at the forefront of pedagogical excellence and innovation. We often get asked the question, whose university is Ashoka? Those who can pay the fees, a privileged few. We are pleased to be able to report that Ashoka has truly become the nation's university, where students from all regions and classes can be at home. We have students from 25 states, over 70 cities in India, so all across India. We have students from 17 countries. Ashoka remains committed to setting new benchmarks of inclusion. Over 50% of the students at Ashoka are on financial aid, and the Board of Trustees has given its commitment to making sure that our financial aid goals are even more ambitious. I want to reiterate that Ashoka is a private university, but it is a public trust in spirit and action. As we remain committed to undergraduate education, we now believe it is time to set Ashoka on the pathway of being a great research university. But one of the things students will have noticed, although parents may not recognize it that easily, Ashoka is already on that pathway. We have a range of faculty working on truly exciting array of ideas. It's only at Ashoka you can find scientists looking for how insects communicate social signals, literature professors exploring the mysteries of human desire and medieval mysticism, math professors exploring the frontier of matrix theory and geometry, life sciences professors looking at the connection between evolution and immunology, philosophy professors looking at ancient theories of consciousness to modern debates about the ethics of self-deception, computer scientists decoding cryptography, environmental scientists working out the future of India's forests, economists looking at the vagaries of human rationality, physicists unlocking the secrets of the cosmos. I can just go on and on and on. We have historians examining warfare in Mughal India and diagnosing the twilight of contemporary liberalism. I'm mentioning all of these randomly chosen faculty research topics to reiterate the point that Ashoka is already at the center of the production of knowledge. The range of publications of our faculty is too long to enumerate here, and the list of awards they are winning is growing. But I want to take this moment to request my colleagues to stand up for a minute so that we can acknowledge their roles, not just as fabulous teachers, but as intellectual leaders in their field. Ashoka now has 85 permanent faculty and is ramping up on an unprecedented scale. Last year, we made 22 new appointments and had 29 extra visiting faculty. I want to take this moment to acknowledge all our faculty. Faculty, would you please rise? I think we can. But the cornerstone of a great research university is building the research leaders of tomorrow. I'm happy to announce that as many as 5 disciplines will have doctoral students on Ashoka campus by monsoon 2018: computer science, economics, history, biology, and English. Thanks to the valiant efforts of our top scientists, our science block has been completed, and wonderful labs are going to transform teaching and research at Ashoka. Our commitment to research is exemplified by the fact that we have created the first archive of its kind of original papers and manuscript material at Ashoka. We have just acquired the papers, for example, of former President philosopher S. Radhakrishnan and the environmentalist Chandi Bhatt. Ashoka has ambitious plans for a great graduate school in phase 2. In order to attract the best graduate students, we will create a separate endowment that will fund and sustain those graduate students. Ashoka is also committed to building new and ambitious centers that exemplify the frontiers of knowledge and build new modalities of inquiry. We have several centers of practice: entrepreneurship, women's leadership, social philanthropy, Center for Behavioral Change, the wonderful Trivedi Center for Political Data. In addition to these and the existing departments, which will, we hope, grow from strength to strength, this year we laid the intellectual groundwork for a set of new multidisciplinary centers in the data sciences, life sciences, environmental studies, international relations, and a Center for Indic Studies. The last one will promote serious intellectual work in classical and contemporary Indian languages. We know a serious university cannot advance without deep engagement with the diverse currents of this extraordinary civilization. With all your help, we know we can be at the forefront of the production of knowledge, not just teaching. Ashoka is a global university, but one mindful of its location as well. and it has converted its location to incredible pedagogical advantage. Many of our colleagues are beginning to doing serious work on this laboratory of social change we call Haryana. We have a wonderful program engaging with communities all around us. And the CMGGA program, Chief Minister's Good Governance Program, is now one of the most sought-after programs of its kind in India. This program places one fellow in every district in Haryana to work with the local administration for a year. It has been a transformative experience for both students and actually the government in many significant ways. This program is just one example of Ashoka's ability to align the goals of the university with responsible local citizenship, a virtue we hope all our students carry. It is difficult for me to capture the scale of activity at Ashoka in this brief report. Ashoka will be hosting the massive Association for Asian Studies conference this year, the largest gathering of scholars from all disciplines from all parts of the world, running into the hundreds. The scale of activity here, the dozens of conferences, the hundreds of talks, the extraordinary cultural production on campus keeps us busy. Haryana is a sporting powerhouse, and in keeping with that tradition, Ashoka is also proving to be one. We are pleased to report that Trusha Mukherjee won a gold medal at the World Shooting Championship for Universities. It is a cliche to say that Ashoka is a collective effort. As much as we value individual achievement and prize individuality, we know nothing would be possible without the selfless support of hundreds of people that lie behind every activity. Every act of ours, I don't mean just Ashoka, I think as individuals as well, every act of ours is not just ours alone. It condenses the effort of so many people. In that sense, and in keeping with, I think, the Ashokan tradition, an annual report has to be a record of our indebtedness more than it is a record of our achievement, which is, I think, quite palpable. Ashoka is unique in that every single individual is always going beyond the call of duty. This is not a place and an institution built on the arid calculation of reward and benefit, but a place built on deep commitment. I wish to thank every single person on campus, especially our staff, who have guided us through every storm with such calm assurance, and I wish we had time to name each one of them individually. I will single out a few individuals at the risk of embarrassing them. At this point, it might be redundant to thank Ashish Dhawan and Sanjeev Bikhchandani. But the example they set by combining their outsized achievement and generosity with total selflessness and lack of ego has set the tone for the entire institution. Pramat Raj Sinha, even as he moves to other ventures, is vital for keeping us honest. And the great personal pleasure of my job has been to come to know and see Vineet Gupta, who's a model of fairness, effectiveness, and integrity from whom we are still learning. On the administration side, I wish to emphasize a few individuals, but I also want to emphasize that in thanking them, I'm also thanking the teams they represent, not just them individually. Dean Vanita Shastri for placing us on the map of international partnership. Munish Rawat, Chief of Operations, who, even though we sometimes complain about the food, at least make sure that the Ashoka Samosa remains alive. Sachin Sharma, Registrar, for ensuring we don't run afoul of any law. Venkat in the development office for his boundless enthusiasm and effective charm. Ali Imran for making sure that Ashoka's message is communicated. Vineet Sabarwal in the admissions office for getting us extraordinary students like you. And our deans, Deboshruti Roy Chaudhary and Rashmi Singh for making sure that you are safe and well looked after. In fact, we sleep well because we know they are here. I also want to make a special mention of Dr. Arvinder from the Center for Wellbeing. She has created a unique institution of its kind in any university in India that looks after students' well-being in all its different aspects. But to 4 people, my personal debt is immeasurable. Our Pro Vice-chancellor, Shankar Krishnan, is one of a kind. We fly high because he manages every aspect of the university with such dedication, brilliance, and grace. He has created so many sinews that bind Ashoka together. Mahesh Rangarajan, our Dean of Students. We went to college together and are now back in college together, and I cannot think of anyone whose concern for students is so unwavering, besides, of course, his intellectual brilliance and contribution. Ashoka is deeply in your debt, Mahesh. Then there is our Dean of Faculty, Professor Malvika Sarkar. She embodies one virtue which I hope all Ashoka students will take. She's a living embodiment of the adage that those who first listen and then speak most quietly also speak the most wisely. She has been largely responsible for ensuring that Ashoka has such extraordinary faculty. And finally, to our Chancellor, Rudrangshu Mukherjee, someone to whom I owe a debt of a lifetime. Like a wise monarch, he does never exercises power, but exercises quiet mentorship. He leads by the example of his teaching, scholarship, and his profound sense of what universities are truly about. I'm deeply humbled by all the support of all of you. But there is one final set of acknowledgements that I think we have to give as a collective. I will request the students to rise for a second, if you can. I will request you to take one moment, perhaps even look at your parents, and quietly remember all those people who might have made this moment possible for you. Parents, siblings, friends, teachers, peers, counselors, support staff, anyone whatsoever. It is in a sense your acknowledgement to all that has enabled this moment that I think that commands the most significance. Thank you. The meaning of your tremendous achievement is deepened, not diminished, when we are aware of how dependent it is on many people. Ashoka's credo is that it gives us the strength to be independent and free spirits. But as the Mahabharata reminds us, even all free action is built on a web of dependencies. Ashoka will continue to be a home for you throughout your lives. Being an Ashokan, however, is also a privilege, and a privilege accessible only to a select few. So with this privilege comes a special responsibility. There is a pithy saying from the Gospel of Luke, but one that I think expresses the sentiments of all ethical traditions. To whom much is given, from them much is expected. As Ashokans, we know much has been given to us, and so much will be expected from us. But we also know that you will be year after year writing our annual report in glory. Congratulations.
It is my privilege and honor to welcome our chief guest, Mrs. Nirupama Rao, who surely needs no introduction before this august gathering. She has been a distinguished member of the Indian Foreign Service, served as ambassador to China and the US, and has also served as secretary of the Ministry of External Affairs. You may all be aware, of course, that she's also a poet who has been published widely, translated, among other languages, into Russian and Chinese. She's a gifted musician and a diplomat who even sings the blues. So I present to you and welcome Mrs. Nirupama Rao.
Thank you for your words of introduction, Professor Rangarajan. Mr. Chancellor, Mr. Vice-chancellor, Professor Pollock, distinguished personalities on the podium, members of the faculty, and young graduates and their families present here today. First of all, my felicitations to all of you graduates for a job excellently done. I'm extremely glad to be here today, happy in fact. I have admired Ashoka University from afar for many moons now. I have been a passionate advocate of our young people having opportunities for a world-class education in the liberal arts. I've always held that more than becoming a great power, which is a goal that our policymakers are deeply attached to, it is important that India be a great democracy. And by that, I mean that we aim at becoming the gold standard in open governance, enshrining respect for human rights, internalizing a respect for the history that makes us what we are, a diverse and plural society, and finally, a rejection of the closed mind. Why do I say this? It is because you and I, as Indians, populate a map of many migrations. India speaks to both East and West when she demonstrates the fact that labels like Hindu, Muslim, Christian are no more than starting points. We are a blended nation. Our long traditions, our languages, our home states, these cultural geographies that have blurred and indistinct boundaries, they have interrelated contexts of meaning. There are many echoes, spirits, and voices that inhabit our gardens. Separation and distinctiveness are not their defining features. Human life is not about separation, but about connection. What is a university? A university, as it has been said, does not just dole out qualifications. It has a greater role in shaping the whole individual. The first thought that comes to my mind of my ideal of a university is one that existed in ancient Bihar when it was a land of viharas and vigorous intellectual debate, the very heart of Bharatavarsha. That was the University of Nalanda, whose name literally signified the giver of education, the fountainhead of learning, the imparter of knowledge. Nalanda, to me, epitomized pilgrimage, which is what life essentially is about. It epitomizes exploration, which is also what the quest for knowledge signifies, an act of faith, a labor of love. I believe in our search for the enlightenment that knowledge should provide, we must be like those itinerant monks and explorers who became the Nalanda cohort and alumni, who scaled oxygen-starved peaks and passes of lofty mountains, traversed the vast emptiness of black-stoned deserts, which is what the word Karakoram means, chartered courses on turbulent seas, and roamed dark, dense, and enveloping forests in search of the same light. And this was not about spiritual exploration alone. For subjects taught at Nalanda, the original liberal arts curriculum spanned the study of science, astronomy, medicine, logic, metaphysics, and philosophy. Here was a family of 2,000 teachers and over 10,000 students who recorded their precious findings in tomes that made the famous library that burned for months when it was, I think it was about 8 months, when it was destroyed in the last decade of the 12th century, the library that was called Dharma Gunj. And when I remember this great and protective ambience of knowledge being thus fostered, I'm also reminded of Tagore and his recalling the image of the great mango grove, the Amra Kunj, to signify the coming together of students from every planetary direction under the verdant shade to learn the true meaning of Vishwabodh, or awareness of the whole world. Why do you come to a university? It's not for that piece of parchment called a diploma or a degree. There is the concept that Baba Saheb Ambedkar spoke of, called Prabuddha Bharat. I say to myself, let us call it a place called hope, where humanism is the practiced religion, the embedded faith. Our job is to create those Prabuddha Bharats from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. We come to the university to learn and to express. In Newman's famous words, it's a place for the communication and circulation of thought, a place where inquiry is pushed forward, discoveries verified, mind with mind, and knowledge with knowledge. We want to create a pure and clear atmosphere of thought, which the student, all of you, also breathe. These words that Newman spoke more than 100 years ago should animate our thoughts constantly, causing us to ponder and reflect. There's much that goes on around us in the world today that is so angular. That respect for that alternate point of view, the willingness to debate it without anger, but with calm and measured argument, we must strive to. A liberal arts education must provide the sustenance and the capacity for our youth to build the great democracy that India must be. And aspirational India must speak of wanting to be the greatest of democracies in the same breath as we embrace the grammar of economic and strategic strength, wealth, and power. Having crossed your portals today, I cannot ignore Ashoka, the Chakravartin, the wheel turner of the world, Dhamma Ashoka, that prince of peace. In the India of today, there are those who see him as having weakened the Mauryas with his talk of ahimsa paramo dharma, and because his ways, after much meandering, became the ways of gentleness, and all his paths those of peace. The journey from Naipaul's wounded civilization to an aspirational, rejuvenated India seems to be predicated on the embrace of raw and muscular masculinity and bellicosity to anything and anyone who symbolizes the other, the foreign, the non-believer. We are partitioning our identities. To me, Ashoka's story shows that the values of freedom, tolerance, inclusion, region, and logic are not Western values alone. They are the Indian foundations of what a great democracy should be built on. We need the self-correcting mechanisms of the Indian way of life to weigh in at this time. We don't want narrow minds that are born of narrow specialization, and there's too much of that happening today. We need the thinking, reflective mind that reasons, compares, that analyzes, A university education should provide for that clear, calm, accurate vision and comprehension of all things that allows the individual to make good judgments and practice what Gandhiji called viveka, the effective Sanskrit word for that particular faculty, which enables a man or a woman always to distinguish between what is desirable and what is undesirable, what is right and what is wrong. Translated into English, the nearest meaning is discrimination, to separate the chaff from the grain, truth from falsehood, facts from fiction. And above all, students learn to swim in troubled waters, for life cannot be always smooth. Your education should obviously prepare you for the world. Live your lives in the open university of human experience. Education must initiate us into centuries to come, to our developing soul as a country. And the question we confront is between the present and the future, and not between the present and the past. As, in fact, Sri Aurobindo said of India, to her future need, to the greatness of her coming self-creation, to her eternal spirit. But remember also that despite our sense of uniqueness, we are not separate from the world. We are in it, India in the world. Our goal is really to see a world that is safe, settled, and happy. Prosperity and security reinforce each other. That safety and security comes from economic progress, from innovation, enterprise, and technological invention, and the openness of democratic governance. And before I conclude, let me speak briefly of the concept of public service. There is a sign displayed at the entrance of the Vidhana Saudha in Bangalore, my home city, that government's work is God's work. We are rather ungodly in our application of this principle today. Electing to pursue a career in public service is what our country needs you to do. You who have imbibed the values of a liberal arts education, you who are specially equipped to lead, to envision, to imbue the democratic ethos with real value and positive meaning. Be the steel frame of 21st century India. Bureaucracy today needs what the ancients called swakranti, the revolution within self, a move away from perennial navel-gazing is what we do most of the time. I wish you all the joy that you can wish. May you have the absolute sense of the fulfillment that comes from service truthfully, transparently, and sincerely done. May your tryst with destiny awaken the world. And before I finish, I was inspired when the Chancellor and Vice-chancellor spoke of Ashokans and Ashoka as a place. I was reminded of this beautiful poem called Ithaca, which was composed more than 100 years ago by a Greek poet. And I've just chosen a few lines from that for you to take away with you today. Hope your road is a long one. May there be many summer mornings when, with what pleasure, what joy, you enter harbors you're seeing for the first time. Keep Ithaca, I say Ashoka, always in your mind. Arriving there is what you're destined for. But don't hurry the journey at all. Better it lasts for years, so you're old by the time you reach the island, wealthy with all you've gained on the way, not expecting Ithaca ba Ashoka to make you rich, wise as you will have become, so full of experience, you'll have understood by then what these Ashokas mean. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your lovely words. We now have a musical performance composed by our Young India Fellows from the batch of 2018. This piece combines elements from Bossa Nova and Jugalbandi. We have Bimal Tankachan on the drums, Karan Tulli on electric guitar, Varun Shankar on bass guitar, Aryan Matta on cajon, and Mudra Kumar on tabla.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my privilege and honor to welcome before us today our Convocation speaker for 2018, Professor Sheldon Pollock, who is the Arvind Raghunathan Professor of South Asian Studies at Columbia University. Professor Pollock embodies the virtues of a true scholar. He's a preeminent scholar of Sanskrit. He has dedicated his life to the study of questions of civilization, culture, and history in a manner that makes him probably one of the most significant intellectuals of our time. It's a great privilege, sir, to have you here today, and an honor indeed for all of us that you are here to deliver the Convocation Address of 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Pola.
I'm not sure how I'm supposed to follow that very cool set now, but Chancellor Mukherjee, Vice-chancellor Mehta, Ambassador Rao, founders, faculty, staff members without whom nothing gets done, I know that, proud parents, and most of all, dear students, this is your day. I have to say I'm truly honored to have been invited to deliver the Convocation address to the 2018 graduating class of Ashoka. I guess you're the first class that spent the 4 years here on the new campus. It's absolutely astonishing. Just astonishing. I truly thank all of you who were responsible for bestowing the singular distinction on me. I count myself very fortunate indeed to have been associated with Ashoka for a number of years, though usually and unfortunately from a distance in New York. It was in the spring of 2013 that I was invited to meet in New York with Pramat Raj Sinha when Ashoka was being created as India's first fully fledged liberal arts college with the global range and conceptual inventiveness and flexible syllabi that characterize the best such colleges in the world. The general framework was still under construction then, but I could see how special Ashoka was to become. And in fact, it's now truly the model for India, and I have to say, as someone who's traveled from China to Paris, from London to New York to Berkeley, Ashoka is the most exciting college in the world at the moment. As I was saying, when we first met, the founders and I, the general framework was still under construction, but I could see how special the college and university were going to become when they warmly accepted my suggestion that the curriculum should include, along with a lot of Kant and Shakespeare, just a little Kalidas and Shakuntala. And it was another memorable moment for me to be invited to speak in New Delhi before the Young India Fellows at the first crossover lecture series in September of 2013. Now, all these previous and precious experiences, to say nothing of the very name of this wonderful institution, naturally led me to suppose that this event for me would be Ashoka. There would be no grief in preparing this presentation, but in fact it hasn't turned out that way for me. When you are a scholar of my age, you're likely to have delivered lectures across your own country, maybe even across the world, and you're typically invited to speak because you have some useful knowledge in a particular field. A convocation address is something very different. By definition, you're supposed to distill a lifetime's worth of knowledge for students who have completed their formal education, to offer some words of advice as they begin their careers. But really, I began to ask myself, when I sat down to write this, what wisdom do I have to share with you? What guidance could I possibly give you? So I looked at my own life, and that doesn't really suggest many general lessons, I have to say. Especially if I think back when I was sitting in your chair, when I was just graduating from college. I just happened to be a person completely mad about classical languages, besotted with class. And in fact, I didn't give a faintest thought, maybe it was the time, 1968. I didn't give the slightest moment's thought to what I was going to do when I got out of college. It was only when one day, just a few months before graduation, that a professor approached me and he asked if I'd ever considered graduate school. And you will be astonished to learn, since I know everybody has started preparing their biodata at 5 years old, that I didn't even know what graduate school was. And then he said to me, this is what I interpreted him as saying, "You will get paid for reading Sanskrit poetry." I said, "Count me in." So I guess follow your passion. That's what they all say. Follow your passion. I suppose that's one conclusion you could draw from my life. That's totally banal, but it's totally true. At some point in your life, you must do what you really love. Another, show up. Just show up. 80% of success in life is showing up. Develop a thick skin. You're going to need it. If you have a position in the world, you will get hammered. A thick skin and the courage of your convictions. But I can't really recommend my career planning, which was basically wait around cluelessly until something good happens, and then hope to be paid for it. But more seriously now, look, someone of my age, I'm supposed to advise people your age going out into a world almost completely unfamiliar to me. I suspect that during this month and next month, across the world, people with gray beards like mine are going to stand up in front of people like you and confess their inability to say anything helpful to you about the challenges you're going to face. And I think this is rightly the case, because those challenges are none that we have ever faced. And I'm not speaking about the growing presence of governments across the world that are posing a truly frightening challenge to the democratic order. That's happened before. Governments come and go. Or the vast technological changes that make even the cognitive capacities of young people, in a sense, born digital as you are, so different from my own. But the world has experienced even greater technological changes, like writing, a huge cognitive transformation, far greater than what we're experiencing today. Or the scourge of gender discrimination and more broadly, social inequality across the world. No, the first of the challenges you're going to face is the mother of all challenges, climate change. Now, this is not the most uplifting thing to talk about on an occasion like this, and it's like contemplating your own mortality. But you know, the Buddhists, they had this maranasmati, this meditation on your own mortality as part of the way to live a full life. Anyway, this is something you've not, of course, never heard before, again and again, that perhaps the most vulnerable area of the world to come is South Asia, with new records of extreme heat, monsoons ever more unpredictable than in the past, water scarcity beyond what's ever been experienced, pollution worse than anything known to date, sea level rises that, when you're my age, 50 years from now, will make Calcutta and Mumbai and New York uninhabitable. Now, if India is among the nations in the world most at risk from these and other potentially catastrophic events that will unfold in your lifetimes, while still struggling with older, stubborn problems of gender and caste inequality, India is also the nation with some of the most remarkable resources available to address these problems. By resources, I don't mean material things like natural resources. I mean the resources of intelligence found in cultural, social, and political traditions. I have been privileged to live my life studying these traditions, and I've become absolutely convinced of their uniqueness and importance for the world at large. These happily provide me with the inspiration for my address, which my own personal life couldn't provide, What can these traditions mean to you as you go out in the world? I know today you're thinking about your future, and that's what you should be thinking about, but our futures are shaped in part by our pasts, and shaped for the better we understand those pasts. And let me tell you how I understand the India past. You are heirs to a tradition of respect for knowledge, rational, systematized, theorized knowledge whose unbroken history of discovery and transmission is without parallel in the annals of the world. Just consider the three shastras that form the basis of education before the modern period. The classical Vyutpati, as it was called. The sciences of words, sentences, and reasons, grammar, hermeneutics, and logic. These sciences, one of the glories of India, penetrate into some of the most fundamental aspects of human being, the use of language, the making texts out of language, and systematic reasoning. No one in human history has penetrated more deeply, seen more clearly into the heart of these sciences than Indians. The inheritors of these insights will solve problems that no one else can solve. You are the heirs of a tradition of literature that has no parallel in its combination of longevity, continuity, and linguistic variety. Just consider for a moment the loving care with which your forebears preserved, under conditions of the most hostile environmental hazard, 3,000 years of literary creativity in 24 languages. Just as Indians were once the cloth makers to the world, so they were the storytellers to the world. Indian tales traveled everywhere. And the wisdom of these storytellers and poets is unlike any other wisdom. It offers the capacity to envision possibilities that may not actually exist in the world we inhabit today, but which we may well need for the world we're going to inhabit. They give us access to radically different forms of human consciousness. They extend the range of possibility of what it has meant and what it could mean to be a human being. The inheritors of this intelligence will be able to imagine solutions no one else can imagine. You are the heirs of a political intelligence that has produced the world's largest democracy, as Ambassador Rao just discussed. It is ridiculous to assert, as some have asserted, and here's a quotation which you can forget as soon as I tell you, few scholars dare to acknowledge that for all the problems, British rule did in fact make India's modern democracy, blah, blah, blah. Such an assertion could only be made because of our inability to get clear on the pre-colonial roots of the political ideas that eventually took shape in today's Indian parliamentary democracy. Think of the basic modesty of the old India political order and the constraints on its impact on the social order. Think of the practice of nested or layered local sovereignties, and contrast that for a moment with the centralization of rule you see from Rome to China. Contrast, too, their expansionism with the limited, bounded vision of the Indian polity. And think, lastly, of that extraordinary document of the namesake of this institution, since you have one of the great world authorities in Professor Lahiri. I'm sure you've heard this before. A document where the first time in human history a ruling king apologized for the death of innocents. Where has this ever happened before? So astyanushocanam devanam priyasya vijiniti kalingani. Now, beloved of the gods, feels deep remorse for having conquered the Kalinga people. You are heirs of a tradition of toleration, and I would say unequivocally freedom, which for centuries enabled India to successfully avoid many of the forms of oppression encountered across the world. Of course, there was ideological contestation. Of course, there was violence. But think comparatively just for a minute. it's hard to perceive any restrictions on Indian thought or speech. Censorship was never an Indian value. It's hard to perceive any kind of religious discrimination, certainly not the kind that punished heresy through excommunication. On the contrary, think of the unparalleled ease with which oppressed voices could produce their own new scriptures. Cultural discrimination was largely unknown. Linguistic diversity, for example, was never considered a sin to be expiated, as in the founding Western myth of Babel. Local cultural ways were never suppressed. Just think the way the Romans suppressed every language that they came in contact to, or the way the British suppressed Irish, or the Germans suppressed Polish, or the French revolutionaries wanted to annihilate, that was their term, all local languages. Cultural expansion in India, whether empowered by Sanskrit or Persian models of culture, never sought to supplant regional ways. On the contrary, it ennobled those regional ways and enabled them to achieve literary and other kinds of expression for the first time. Perhaps most important, you are heirs of a tradition of constant, relentless, unrestricted, boundless, and brilliant questioning. Nothing in the world of culture, society, politics, or religion, no cultural or social or political assumption, no religious text, however cherished, no belief, however devoutly held, ever escaped questioning in the Indian past. This is true even with respect to the one single most serious blot on Indian life, what a brilliant social theorist called the egregiously obscene forms of inequality. While slow to give way, this shadow of inequality is lifting, thanks precisely to generations of critical insiders, from the early Buddhists to B.R. Ambedkar, who understood that you had to go through the ideology of inequality by study, by critical engagement, by analysis, and not try to go around it through mere legislation, let alone violence, if you hope to overcome it. Your inheritance of these traditions of critical inquiry, of toleration, of political autonomy, of literary wisdom, of analytical knowledge, they may not have been transmitted to you in any direct, unmediated fashion. You may have not had much opportunity or even desire to actively study the traditions in classical Tamil, Persian, Sanskrit, Hindi, whatever. But these traditions are somehow in you, in however mediated a fashion. I can't do better here than quote the great African-American novelist James Baldwin when he said, "We carry history within us. We are unconsciously controlled by it in many ways, and history is literally present in all that we do. It could scarcely be otherwise, since it is to history that we owe our frame of reference, our identities, and our aspirations." This extraordinary Indian past empowers you with the values crucial to addressing the problems you are going to encounter when you leave Ashoka University. And these values, to reduce them to their simplest terms, are diversity, 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 and openness, openness, openness. Now, there are some today who reject this diversity and openness of tradition, who deny even the right to people like me, as supposed outsiders, to tell such a story of India's past. They reserve that right for themselves and seek to produce an image of India's past as one of homogeneity and closure, where inequality was a social benefit, Indianness a restricted category, where outsiders remained outside no matter how long they lived in India, though of course we're all outsiders, we're all immigrants. And no matter what knowledge these people may have offered and received. And they have insisted that the right to tell this story of the past be restricted to those who are the same as them. They have narrowed the options of discussion to conformity or condemnation. And the problem is acute even more so in the India diaspora, where thought police proliferate on social media, hounding those with differing points of view in the name of a tradition that no one in the past would ever have recognized as such. Now, they might say their views are true. And let me just move for a very short moment to a sort of philosophical digression. They may say their views are true, and I would say, however, that that is not a truth that India can live with. And what do I mean by this? What I mean is that we need to consider complementing our historical truths, which is what I've tried to offer in my brief remarks, by the social hope that makes life possible. An American philosopher has explained better than I could the idea of a truth that gives social hope. He once said he didn't believe that there is a way things really are, but you can't really get to the past. And instead, he wanted to replace that reality-appearance distinction by one between its descriptions of the world and of ourselves, which are less useful and more useful. It's very much like this great 9th century Rashtrakuta king in his wonderful book, Prashnottara Ratnamalika, the precious garland of questions and answers. He says, Kin Satyam, what is truth? Bhuta Hitam, it's what's good for people. It's rather like that. It's an anticipation of that. So the American philosopher, when pressed to explain, useful for what? The American philosopher responded that he had nothing to say except useful to create a better future. Better by what criterion, he was then asked. And he could only say something like, better in the sense of containing more of what we consider good and less of what we consider bad. And when he was then asked yet again, and what do you exactly consider good? He said he could only reply by citing the great American poet Walt Whitman, the greatest lessons of nature through the universe are the lessons of variety and freedom. Now, I would like to temper this account of truth, it was actually the one offered by the late philosopher Richard Rorty, by suggesting that at a time when science is attacked, when science is needed most, we must preserve the appearance-reality distinction. We must try to discover the way things really are or were. We must honor the truth of the Indian historical traditions. But even as we do so, we have to ask what parts of this truth will ensure ever greater variety to our fellow human beings and their freedom, permitting them as much space to pursue their concerns as is compatible with granting an equal amount to everyone. There is no contradiction between these two aspirations. You, the new graduates of Ashoka University, represent the best of the variety and freedom that India has always celebrated in the past, and the best of what it can be in the future. You are heirs of a great culture, self-confident enough to know that the past, like every past, has produced both civilization and barbarism, and that we can nourish ourselves with the one and overcome the other once we acknowledge it for what it is. You have received an education that embodies precisely that variety and freedom. I feel certain that you will do great things, whatever your calling, to ensure that India has a future marked by critical inquiry, political wisdom, tolerance, imagination of the vast possibilities of human being, and relentless questioning. Believe in yourselves. Believe you can be the change that will make India once again the global leader in healing society and healing the planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Pollock, for such an insightful speech. We now come to the awarding of the degree and diploma certificates, for which I request the Dean of Academic Affairs, Professor Mahesh Rangarajan, to take the dais.
Thank you. It is my privilege to request the Chancellor to step forward to award the degrees to the undergraduate batch of 2015 to 2018. So, I will now read out the names. I will now read out the names in alphabetical order, and those who have been marked out for academic distinction, the honor will also be read out. May I request them to step forward as I read their names. A. Ishwari Rao. Adarsh Gangwar, magna cum laude. Aina Singh, magna cum laude. Akanksha Jadhav. Arushi Agarwal. Astha Gandhi. Astha Girotra, cum laude. Astha Singh. Ayushi Deshpande. Abhinav Verma, magna cum laude. Abhipri Gupta. Adhiraj Mathur. Adit Vora, cum laude. Aditi Das. Aditi Khare. Aditi Revankar, cum laude. Aditya Chauhan. Aditya Khemka, magna cum laude. Aditya P. Aditya Vardhan. Akhil Vora. Akhilesh Ghevde. Akshat Vacher. Akshay Malhotra. Amalta Gupta. Amrutavarshini Manjunath, cum laude. Anand Menon. Aniket Agarwal. Anirudh Rao. Anodya Mishra. Anuka Bachawat. Anusha Bhagat. Anushka Kapoor, magna cum laude. Anvita Gupta. Aksa Parvez, cum laude. Aradhita Gupta, summa cum laude. Arjun Khanna. Arushi Jain. Ashish Sharma. Ashna Kedia. Atreya Ramakrishna. Avantika Kolluru. Ayesha Patnaik, summa cum laude. Ayush Agarwal. Ayush Kathuria. Ayush Nath. Ayush Papreja. Ayush Uchil. Brinda Bhargava. Chahat Rana. Chetna Pai. Dhruv Raman, magna cum laude. Dhruvatara Sharma. Dibyendu Mishra. Elisha Muhammad Hamza, magna cum laude. Muhammad Hamza, magna cum laude. Monica Bhalwani. Naman Khandelwal. Nara Shivani, cum laude. Neha Mehrotra, cum laude. Nikita Kohli. Nishant Kauntia. Nishka Dasgupta, magna cum laude. Ojaswin Nagpal. Palomi Vatsyayan. Parth Athle.
Pavni Kausal, cum laude. Pooja Selvam, Pranav D. Kuryakos, Pranav Raghupati, Pratik Pillai, cum laude. Pratosh Varanidharan, Prithvi Iyer, cum laude. Priyanka Sethi, Priyansha Bajoria, Rachit Rawat, Raghav Mittal, Raghu Malhotra, Raka De, Riya Narayan, cum laude. Rhythm Banerjee, Ridhima Jain, Rishika Basu, Riya Sagar, Rudradip Guha, Ruhina Tankariwala, Sabha Marchant, Sachin Mehra, Sadaf Bandeli, cum laude. Sahil Bhargava, Saloni Agarwal, cum laude. Samarth Nanda, Sanchit Bansal, Sania Jain, Sanjana Badrinath, Saranya Subramanian, Sejal Gangwal, Sharvari Srinath, Shaista Malik, Shakul Raj Sonkar, Shashwat Ghatiwala, Shifa Riaz, Shireen Bhariok, Shiv Raman, Shivam Sai, Shivangi Kejriwal Kamlade, Shivani Mangal, Shivani Ramchandran, Shaurya Shukla, Shravi Jain, Shreya Gautam, Shreya Suresh Kamlade, Srishti Kajaria Kamlade, Shriya Rao, Shubhangi Karya, Siddhant Bhargava, Siddharth Ratra, Siddharth Salian, Simran Bhuria magna cum laude, Simran Patnaik, Simran Rathi cum laude, Sita Sanjivani, Sriranga Samanvit, Srishti Das, Srishti Gupta, Suavi Kochar, Suhasini Patni, Sumer Sharma cum laude, Sunny Singhal. Susabhan Mahapatra. Swagam Dasgupta. Swasti Acharya. Sweta Krishnan. Tanisha Sabnis Kamlode. Tanvi Mehta. Tania Rohtagi magna cum laude. Tarini Khurana. Udeshi Basu. Varuni Mahajan. Vaishnavi Bazaz. Vaishnavi Srinivas. Vallari Saxena. Vansh Chaudhary. Varsha Ramchandran magna cum laude. Vatsala Peshavaria. Vedika Shastri cum laude. Vivav Gupta. Vibhuti Gaur, magna cum laude. Vidushri Singhal. Vidisha Bhatt. Vidur Suri. Vinayak Agarwal. Vinayak Diwan, cum laude. Vineet Nandkishore. Vithika Agarwal. Yash Dhuldhoya. Yash Gadhyan. Yashi Jain. Yashna Nijavan. Yuganshi Singh. Zahida War. Zoheb Bedi. Students from the batch of 2014-17 who are graduating are Akbar Surani, Dhruv Chakravarti, Jia Diwan, Shruti Sagar.
May I now request all undergraduate students who've been awarded the degree to please rise. And may I now request the Chancellor. Sir, I now present the students of the bachelor's degree of Ashoka University whose names are set out in the list and who are qualified to receive the bachelor's degree. I request, sir, that they may please be awarded the degree.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as Chancellor of Ashoka University, I admit you all to the Bachelor's degree of Honours, and I charge you that ever in your thought and action you prove yourself worthy of the honour conferred on you.
It's my privilege to request our chief guest, Professor Pollock, to, It is my honor to request our chief guest, my apologies, I was overwhelmed. It's my request, it is my honor to request It's my privilege to request Srimati Rao to please step forward. It's a very important moment for us because this is our first batch which is being awarded the Postgraduate Diploma in Advanced Studies and Research of Ashoka University. I will now read out the names in order, and those who have been awarded an academic distinction, the distinction will be read out. In alphabetical order, the students are Anya Lanu, Ashna Lal Kamlode, Abhinav Srikant, Aditya Prakash Kamlode, Ahan Bezbarua, Akashmekh Sharma, Amrita Singh, Annavi Kajla, Anirban Kundu, Anirudh Sehgal, magna cum laude. Ankita Nanda, magna cum laude. Ansh Baid, Anushka Kelkar, magna cum laude. Apurup Setupati, Aritra Sutradhar, Arpit Kumbhat, Ayan Tandon, Ayushi Jain, cum laude. Ayushri Gangal, magna cum laude. Baba Prasad Nath, Bhavna SR, cum laude. Bhavye Mittal, Chaitanya Sharif Kulkarni, Chakshu Chhabra, Darshana Devarajan, magna cum laude. Deva Surya Vivek Madala, magna cum laude. Dhairya Singh, magna cum laude. Gauri Saxena, cum laude. Jia Singh Arora, cum laude. Gautam Piduri, Sama, cum laude. Govind Narayan, Sama, cum laude. Himanshu Shekhar, Ishanika Sharma, Sama, cum laude. Ishika Ray, Jahanavi Datta, Jasmine Kaur, cum laude. Jishnu Ghosh, Kalpa Vishwanathan. Koishor Roy. Kratika Parchani. Kriti Garg, cum laude. Laboni Roy, magna cum laude. Laksh Banthya, summa cum laude.
Matangi Krishna. Mahira Buddharaj, cum laude. Manisha Sa. Manjari Sahai, summa cum laude. Mathura Samaram, summa cum laude. Megha Devraj, summa cum laude. Mihika Sood. Mohit Sharma. Nainika Dinesh, summa cum laude. Narmada Varadarajan, summa cum laude. Naini Kushal Goyal, magna cum laude. Nitya Kuchala, cum laude. Paras Bhatrai. Paul Matthew. Purbu Dolma, summa cum laude. It's not sure. Pooja Srivastav, summa cum laude. Priya Rathore, cum laude. Purvai Aranya, summa cum laude. Rehan Radar. Ria Shroff. Ribhav Dhingra, magna cum laude. Ritika TL, cum laude. Ruab Monga, cum laude. Samrid Kudesa, Sanat Sogani, cum laude. Sariyu Krishnan, magna cum laude. Shivangi Tikekar, Shreya Shende, magna cum laude. Shreyas Krishna, cum laude. Shubham Anand Chakravarti. Simran Nandajog. Simran Sirur. Soria Reddy, cum laude. Shreya Muthukumar, magna cum laude. Tanvi Reddy Gotham. Trina Bishwash. Urvin Suneta. Uttara Chaudhary, sama cum laude. Vaishni Agarwal, cum laude. Vijay Lingam. Vikrant Jutsi, magna cum laude. Yash Joshi. Yashwant Sangapalli. Manisha Kopala.
Thank you, ma'am. May I now request all the postgraduate students to please rise. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I now present the students of the Postgraduate Diploma in Advanced Studies and Research of Ashoka University, whose names are set out in the list and who have qualified to receive this diploma. I request that they may please be awarded the same.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as Chancellor of Ashoka University, I admit you all to the Postgraduate Diploma in Advanced Studies and Research, and I charge you that ever in your thought and action you prove yourself worthy of the honor conferred on you.
May I now request all the students who were awarded the BA degree for 2018, the BA 2017, and the postgraduate diploma in advanced studies and research to please rise, because it is time to administer the Ashoka Oath. I will read out a question. Please don't read out the question, but please read out the answer. The university oath. The ancient king after whom this university is named asked the question, "What is Dhamma?" He answered, and please repeat after me, "It is having few faults and many good deeds. Mercy, charity, truthfulness, and integrity. I commit myself to these values and through them move from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, and from death to immortality." Thank you.
I would like to invite our Pro Vice-chancellor, Mr. Shankar Krishnan, to give the vote of thanks.
Distinguished guests and colleagues in the dais, esteemed invitees, the graduating class and the founding class who have just completed their postgraduate diploma in advanced studies and research, friends, members of the Ashoka family. It is my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks at today's convocation ceremony. To start with, a heartfelt thanks from all of us at Ashoka to our distinguished guests, the chief guest, Ms. Nirupama Rao, and our keynote speaker, Professor Sheldon Pollack. The Ashoka family is deeply honored that you have graced this occasion. Your presence and words have been profoundly encouraging, motivating for us all. You dazzled us with poetry from Greece, poetry from Walt Whitman. I was particularly struck by the vision you painted of a future shaped by the past, a path you laid out for our young graduating students today. My thanks to Chancellor Rudrangshu Mukherjee and Vice-Chancellor Pratap Banu Mehta for their constantly inspiring leadership of this university. You inspire us to give our best. Thanks also to our esteemed founders, in particular, Ashish Dhawan, Vineet Gupta, Pramad Sinha, Sanjeev Biktandani, and all the other founders for your constant support. We know that you are our pillars, you are our strength as we take up new challenges. An event like this is so many people working in the background to make it a success. I'd like to express our heartfelt appreciation of the efforts of the core team organizing today's event, steered by the Dean of Student Affairs, Debashruti Roy Chowdhury, acted as a guiding force to the team. Can I get Harshit Thakkar and Sneha Banerjee? Harshit. Working around the clock, taking the lead, effectively managing all aspects of the arrangements. Chandan Sharma for efficiently handling the logistics. That is Chandan. Chandan is outside, unfortunately. Uma Maheshwari for her continuous coordination and support. Thanks also to the organizing committee led by our Dean of Academic Affairs, Professor Mahesh Rangarajan, and our tireless registrar, Sachin Sharma. Key members of the committee included the Dean of Faculty and Research, Malvika Sarkar, the Dean of Global Education, Vanita Shastri, the Associate Dean of Academic Affairs, Anu Singh, clearly you need more popularity, Anu. Director of Communications, Anju Mohan. Our VP of Operations, Munish Sarawat. Director of Administration, Arvinder Bans. Manager of Catering, Security and many other things, Surit Sondi. Director of Student Life, Rashmi Singh. Amanjeet Kaur from the Office of Student Life. Director of IT, Anu Batra. Ably supported by Chandresh Kumar, the head of IT hardware. Chandresh. And Vinod Chauhan from my office for efficiently planning and organizing all these meetings. This organizing committee has truly worked hard to make this event a success. Let me also express my gratitude, and I think all our gratitude, to our amazing faculty who have continuously inspired They have continuously inspired and guided the students, guided all of us. They are the moving force behind the university, needless to say. I must also thank the performers of the night, the undergraduate students and the Young India Fellows for their musical performances. Showcased some of our Ashoka's best musical abilities. To our dedicated, ever enthusiastic student volunteers, This event could not have taken place without your untiring effort. We value your contribution more than you know. It would be remiss of me not to express my appreciation to all the staff, the IT, the admin, the security, the communication, and catering teams in particular. Worked so hard, done an outstanding job of preparing the venue, the event. Thank you all so much for all the effort and time you put in. A special thanks to our guests today, the parents of our students who have trusted us You have trusted us at such an important juncture in your children's future. We hope that their success today has helped fulfill the trust you repose in them and us. Last, perhaps most importantly, to the graduating class of 2018, to the founding class of the Postgraduate Diploma in Advanced Studies and Research, congratulations. You know that we are proud to have had you as our students. You showed remarkable initiative, ownership, and drive in establishing the traditions that will go on to build Ashoka as a truly special institution. You have a special place in our hearts. I'm confident that you have imbibed the true spirit of a liberal education, of thinking critically, thinking independently. You've understood that your studies here were only a part of a lifetime of learning ahead of you. And I'm certain you'll use that learning to leave every situation better than when it was when you arrived. You will go on to shine as true leaders of the world in your journey ahead. Equally, I'm confident you'll continue to be an integral part of this university, of this family, and help shape its future course. We come to the close of this evening's program. In fact, we come to the close of this stage of your journey with us. But as the Roman philosopher Seneca said, and I will paraphrase his words, every ending is a new beginning. So good luck, good health to all of you for all the new beginnings ahead. Farewell and good evening.
Thank you so much, Chancellor. May I please request everyone to stand up for the national anthem. Congratulations, graduating class of 2018. Give yourself a round of applause once more. I invite everyone here to join us for high tea in the football field adjacent to the sports block. The Alumni Association is welcoming all the graduating students with the welcome kits. Do visit their table. But before we all gather there, I request all the guests, parents, family members to remain seated till the convocation procession exits the hall. Thank you.